This is Chilling.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the best of the good life. This is Chilling. And more than ever, my name is Drago. Now, if there is a moment and time a topic of mental health should be addressed, the time is now. Given what is happening in the world or in our country, the isolated shootings that are happening, frustration everywhere, finances are not coming in, life stresses are becoming very many. Mental health is not actually an individual kind of thing. This is a phenomenon that is common and it happens to each and every one of us differently. Making it for the third time in a row, a brother of mine on Chilling, he has broken a record. Nobody has ever, by the way. He is a mental health activist. He is CEO and Managing Director of
Voice of Restoration
Voice of
International
Restoration.
Limited.
Fantastic. Voice of Restoration International. He is a teacher and a life coach. Doctor, or I call him my friend. He is laughing when I call him doctor. My friend, Dretibi Dreliba Daniel. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, thank you.
I shouldn't say it's a good thing having you on the show because we are talking about something that is becoming a disease, something that has been stigmatized, something that we people are scared of discussing about in public because we are going to be mocked. Mental health is actually key. Should we be as vigilant as we are with our physical health? How important and how is it vital for us to address issues to do with mental health?
You know, mental health is one area I am very passionate about because mental health determines everything around us. When you talk about mental health, many times people confuse mental health with other things.
Yes.
Mental health is something that we advocate for, and I'm passionate about it because when you look at it in terms of everything, mental health has your emotional, psychological, mental, and overall well-being being kept intact and at par. But then when we have challenges, then these issues begin to affect, like you rightly said here, it has a lot of stigma as well. That's why the second episode we had some time back, I raised the 4 questions. First question was, how many mentally affected people have we chained in our houses or we have locked them up? How many people do we have who are abandoned because of their mental health condition? You know, mental health, just like any other health, needs to be addressed. If you have pain and wound on your body, you go for treatment. Yes. But then the challenge with the mental health is it is something that is inside somebody and we cannot easily trace, but there are triggers that can actually help us see that actually somebody needs help. And when these issues are addressed, actually we have a better society.
Daniel, it's becoming crazy. I'm sure you're also seeing it where you are.
Yes.
On TV. The shootings are becoming so many and so upsetting. People are frustrated.
Very.
What is that special connection we have between mental health and physical health?
Mental illness, for instance, comes from 3 aspects now. Number 1, it begins with the thoughts, the way we think. The way we think will determine how we feel. And then the way we feel will trigger moods, whether good mood or bad mood. And somebody's mood definitely will then manifest into, will now transfer into the behavior. So when you see the actions, when you see the behavior now, a lot is happening. And then when you look at it in terms of the overall person, there are people who inflict physical pain on themselves because of their mental health issues, you know. And the way somebody is feeling, that's how you will see that, or you will hear people who cut themselves, who begin to bleed. Why? They inflict pain on themselves now, physically now. They create wounds on themselves because of the way they were feeling, the way they were thinking, and the way their moods were. So mental health and physical health go hand in hand. You cannot separate the two. And in fact, we should give more attention to the mental health. Why? because everything rotates now around
It's like
there.
the engine.
It is the engine. You know, it is the engine. So that's where we are. And we are saying, hey, look here. All of us, we go through crisis. And how we manage the crisis is what now makes a difference. I get troubled when I see the shootings. I get troubled when I see people committing suicide. I get troubled when I see people end up with bad mental conditions. You know, I feel moved. Yet we can actually do something. But the problem is here, Drago, the issue of the stigma.
That is it, because I was about to tell you that, Daniel, this stigmatization needs to stop. People are scared to coming to people like you. They're even scared to go to the church. They're scared to go to the market. They are isolated and identified as failures because of they're having some mental illness of sorts. But then we're forgetting that at the end of the day, we all hit that moment.
True.
My life has changed ever since I was a child. I've accomplished very many, and I still have a lot to accomplish. Every now and then there are things that come in my way and frustrate me. They get me to think about life. They get me to think maybe I'm not worthy living. You know? So as you, a specialist of this, a mental coach, a mental health coach, and a mental health activist, what is your take on this? How do you advise people to start showing up at your offices and wanting to seek help without being stigmatized?
You know, one thing that I actually did first was when I wrote my second book, Hope in the Age of Depression. I quoted it in that book that, in fact, to some extent, when a prayer request in a church becomes gossip news, where does one run to? Stigma, you know. And we are trying to see how do we break stigma. Just last week, I did a presentation in the mental health conference, looking at the impact of stigma in accessing mental health services in West Nile. You know, not only West Nile, but if you look at the whole country, people are stigmatized. People don't want to access mental health services. Why? Because of what people will say about them and how people also look at them. You know, mental health, actually, if you look at it closely, it has received the stigma right from the memorial. Every tribe has it. In Buganda here, for example, in Kampala and in the Buganda region, if somebody has a crisis somehow, they will quickly say, Onomulalu. You know, it is a funny name. And then if you are in Nigeria, we say Mumu. Then come to Lugbara, we say Azaba. You know?
Because I'm knowing that as cancel culture.
So it cuts across every culture, has a way they stigmatize. And even they will say, I will beat this madness out of you. So you can see that somebody is already been stigmatized and there is already a stereotype and all of that. But the whole issue comes back, how can such a person access help?
Daniel, you are a person that has hit rock bottom before. You've done confessions on the other rejection book, and then this How to Thrive Amid this Mental Health. You also address such a thing. What did you do? Because somebody must be thinking, what did Daniel do different that brought him up again? Last time you were chilling with me, you confessed about how you passed through depression.
Many times.
Yeah. So, and that was a byproduct of mental health.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And it's how you feel. It's the emotions. It's how you carry your life around that is more important. When the engine up here is not doing well, trust me, even what you show to society or what you reflect outside will not be okay. How did you cope with that? How did you deal with your mental situation?
For me, it began with accepting the reality I was in. You know, everybody out there, anybody who is living in denial will not seek for help. That's why I was saying that when anybody is depressed, and even when you try to tell them, they will tell you that they are okay, they don't need help. They will always live in denial. I've been there myself. Until somebody gets to appreciate the fact that actually I am in a crisis and I need help. That is where the issue is. And when I realized that, that's when I opened up. That's when I began to look for help.
Can your mental health change over time?
Many times it does.
How?
You see, now this is where the issue is. There is mental illness and bad mental health, And these are two different things. You can have a bad mental health, but you may not have a mental illness. And then you can have a mental illness, but still at some point of life have a good mental health. So it is at a balance. So the whole issue here is when somebody can freely access treatment, if they are on the other side of bad mental illness, or they're having a bad mental health, actually they can be helped to get to a good mental health. That's why we are trying to advocate for mental health, a good mental health. Why? If your thinking is right, your feeling is okay, and your behavior and your actions are okay, you will have a better Uganda. But why are we having this? Because of the thoughts. We are thinking the wrong things, and these wrong things are making us begin to have pain in our hearts, and then this affects our feelings, our emotions, our moods change, and then this later leads us into actions, which actions when you begin to look at, then it manifests with the issue of bad mental health or poor mental health or mental illness.
Every time you come on my show, you bring another different edition of a book. So, Daniel, what do we have here? Let me know this.
In fact, this
you
is
have your own copy. Yes.
When I looked at all these crises, especially these last shootings.
Is it Broke by Choice?
Broke by Choice, yes.
What is this all about? Because the other time when you're on the show, we had this.
Yeah.
Hope in the age of depression.
Yeah.
So now, what is this all about? And what is the gist of this?
Now, looking at Broke by Choice, I'm not looking at laughing at somebody, but I'm looking at choices somebody can actually make to remain broke. I've been broke.
You mentioned something off camera when we are coming here at Cocoa Beach Beach Club, that you barely had salary.
Yeah, man.
For some good time.
3.5 years.
You showed me your bank statement, and that was funny because now you resorted into, this was very brilliant, into farming by phone.
Yeah.
Tell me about that situation.
You know, what happened was when I had this book, when I look at the crisis right now, I look at my life again. Because like I was saying that I think God gave me a gift of pain. Which pain is not for me only, but the pain that I've suffered is to help others to be better. And looking at this, I did farming on phone, and I lost all of it.
Wow.
When you look at people who are broke, it's not that they really wanted to be broke, but a choice they made somehow worked against them.
Is money, is Daniel, when you're proceeding, is money a motive of happiness? Should money bring happiness?
Not at all.
Why?
Now, this is the thing. Money is there. I advocate for it. And even in the Bible, it says that money answers everything, you know?
Yeah.
But the point here is, right now, there is a crisis. And if you look at the families that are breaking, it is because of financial breakdowns. The mental health, actually right now, mental health cases are on the negative rise because of finances. Looking at people who have just been murdered and who have, whatever has happened through the shootings and all that, everything was coming from money, related to money. And you look at it in terms of, indeed, there is a crisis. I've been there. That's why my first coming to the show was, hey, guys out there, Ugandans and not even non-Ugandans who are out there, look here. Even if you're going through a crisis right now, it's not enough for you to shoot somebody or to kill somebody. It's not enough reason for you to commit suicide. Help is available.
Okay, Daniel.
If 3.5 years I went through without any salary, because all of it was taken for debts, because we are even as a country we have debts. Even our debt as a country is growing. So even as individuals we have debts. As a matter of fact, 7-figure debts was my portion.
So you're trying to tell me you are almost broke for more than what? Towards 1,000 days?
Drago.
Yes.
I've been broke and I've been broken.
Okay, Daniel, you can pause there. We are going to go in for a break and we'll return back with the second part. This is becoming more interesting because I really have so much empathy for people that are going through mental health. People have contacted me after watching all your shows from the previous shows. They've contacted me seeking for help and telling, you know what, Drago, people don't understand what really is so vital with having a proper mental health. You know, it's key. It's key. You've got to have it. So Daniel, we'll take a break, and you're going to tell me, please, you're going to tell me more about this new edition of yours, and how people can get in touch with this, and how can it be a self-help book. Thank you very much. All right, guys, we're going for a break. We'll return shortly.
My name is Asianju Gilda, a final year student at Makerere University pursuing Bachelor's of Industrial and Organizational Psychology. I met Daniel at the offices of Maracha District, where I did my internship from. And he had gone to talk about mental health to the newly recruited employees. I faced a challenge of panic attack, I think almost all my lifetime since childhood. Mostly, fear of standing in front of people, doing anything, dealing with people. I used to get that attack. But then I contacted Mr. Daniel about it, and I shared my experience with him, and he gave me a book about panic attack, and it has really helped me, and it's still helping me up to now. I think it's important for people like Daniel to create awareness in the societies, because many people really don't know about mental health and they are ignorant about it. As a psychology student, I'm going to work with people like Mr. Daniel to ensure that the community is educated and they are aware about mental health.
In Africa, topics like depression, suicide, and mental health are taboo topics to discuss about. And this have resulted into depression and stigmatization. You know, and I think me personally as a person, it's very important once in a while you get to adjust and check and find out the status of your mental health. And today on the show, we have been honored and glad to have a mental health activist. He's a teacher. On the other hand, he is also a CEO of a company that usually confuses me, but he always reminds me that Drago, don't ever forget Voice of Restoration International. He is a lot of things. He's also an inspirational speaker. Man, I like this brother. It is his third time on the show because what he talks about is what society needs, and it's what actually people are afraid to talk about. So, Daniel, when it comes to finances, these are triggers of depression and mental illnesses.
True.
When somebody's broke, man, there are a lot of wild thoughts that go through their minds. Like, for example, me, I'm not scared. I'm going to be vulnerable on the show, and I tell you guys that me, I'm not scared. Let me be a guinea pig, okay? Let me set an example. Like for me, Daniel, if I'm broke, I go under the shelf. I don't want to talk to anybody. I close my room, and I usually don't want to socialize. And these are all bad habits that are indicating I'm getting into depression or I'm having bad mental illness.
Yep.
And to other people, they even face it worse. Like, for example, the incidents that have been happening on TV. Somebody's shooting another person because of salary, as alleged. You know, we are not perfectly sure because investigations are still happening. But talk about how finances are really key when it comes to people's mental wellness and health.
You know, finances, lack of finances is a huge trigger to the mind. In fact, the vocabulary lack is a negative thing for the mind. That's why if you are broke, like you rightly said, me too, I'm broke, you don't see me out. I will always be in the house.
Yeah.
But when money lands on the phone, that's when you are out, you know. So
Liverpool is playing.
Yeah, Liverpool is playing, then you show up.
Yeah.
So, but the point here is finances has a huge part it plays in mental health. That's why when I looked at my life as an example, for instance, looking at the 3.5 years when I didn't have any salary to bring home, you are a married man, you have children.
That's harsh.
You must pay rent, which you're not paying. You must buy food you're not buying. Every day, everybody is seeing you going to work. And the most annoying part is this. Your landlord is seeing you every day going to work and coming back. And you are not paying the rent. You know. And, you know, it is a lot. It overwhelms. That's why I'm like, no, you know what? There's still a way out. Mental health, one of the triggers, especially for men, is money related. Even for ladies, still money related, because for women, their mental health is always affected mostly when it comes to relationship issues. But around that relationship project, it is always finances that is a trigger there. The point here is, Drago, what I want to say is, we just need to come up to a place where we need to appreciate that mental health is important at all spheres. At all spheres. Okay. That's why, as an organization, that we've been moving in communities. We go to churches talking. We go to different places. I've been to the mosque, talking to the Muslims. I've been to the church, Anglican church, Catholic church, Pentecostal church. I talk about mental health. I discuss these issues, helping them that please, let's create awareness. Mental health can be treated, can be managed. Mental health is not the end of the story. We can still rise up again. You know, it is possible. So the call is opening up. But the other side, which is very hard, is who can I trust so that I can share? Who has ever had this kind of experience? So every man out there who is watching this show, you could be going through crisis right now. You're not alone. That's number one. You are not alone and you'll never be alone. In fact, when I was telling a guy I went through 3.5 years without salary, he told me how he went through 8 years. Wow. I said, I thought I was worse. I think his is bigger than mine. You know, it became a consolation for me.
That's the thing, Daniel. You always think that you have it worse, yet another person is even doomed.
And I was telling this guy that I have 7-figure debts. And then the guy told me, wait a minute. Do you know how much I have? I'm paying a loan of 100+ million.
Daniel.
So kind of I'm like, okay, I'm not alone here. I cannot kill myself. I can push through this. I can still be able to push this. Good enough, these other aspects are still there. Life will keep moving. So
you talked about how mental health is different in different spheres of life. Like, for example, does mental illness affect a child or a juvenile different way than it affects an adult? I know that's kind of a silly question to ask.
No, it's not a silly question, but it is actually the same way. In fact, if you come to, say, northern Uganda, if you come to West Nile, for instance, a young man who is involved in alcohol and the drugs is just as same as an old man who is in the same vice. You know, and it affects everybody the same, only that the experiences and the extents are different. You know, the moments are different. But the triggers are the same. The causes are the same. And the impact is the same. How it happens is the same. That's why we've seen guys commit suicide. Primary kids commit suicide. You have primary kids who go with the guns and then they begin to shoot their friends.
That is mental illness.
That's mental illness.
Yes.
So the whole thing affects everybody. That's why we are saying whether school. That's why we go to schools, both primary and secondary. We also go to universities, tertiary institutions, to be able to create more awareness that, hey, guys, we can have a better life.
So we just need to come together.
We just need to come
console
together.
Each other. Have these AA meetings where you're comfortable to talk about something freely in an open space. That's where why you know that you will not be stigmatized.
You will not be judged.
Yes.
You will not be isolated.
Yes.
You will not be discriminated. In Arua, every third Saturday of the month, we are doing mental health support group meetings, where people just come and share experiences, and then we have the psychiatric nurses, the doctors also come around to do assessments and all that. But the whole point is we share experiences so that we heal together. You know, we have a support so that you know that you're not alone.
So Daniel, you're telling me if there were more people like you in our country, such cases would barely happen?
We'll reduce the numbers.
Okay.
Why people are committing suicide is because, for example, is because they see no hope. Nobody has actually talked to them.
Daniel, you know the drill. We don't usually have a lot of time. So I want you to plug in and tell people how to get a copy of this and why they should get it. So this is a self-help book.
Yep.
All your books are actually self-help books.
Self-help.
So tell me, how can people get a copy of this and why should they get it?
Number one, it is my experience of how I went through crisis and I'm out of it. And also still getting out of other issues that are coming through. And it is a book that also helps you to understand financial management and also financial literacy. You know, we are not trained to understand some of these issues in schools. But from personal experiences, some of us, we learned through the hard way, then we are now giving it as a soft landing for others. The last chapter of this book is talking about what somebody needs to do to be able to come out of their financial crisis quickly.
Okay, Daniel, how can they get in touch with Voice of Restoration? Where do they find you?
We are in Arua, West Nile.
Okay, what's your telephone number?
Telephone number is 0774 805028.
Okay,
they
social
can
plugs?
always, yeah, they are there. You can get me on Facebook, you can get me on YouTube, you can get me on Twitter, you can get me on Instagram. I'm always available, but social media is my plus. You can always find me around.
Yes. All right, guys, we call that a wrap. But most importantly, guys, we take a lot of time worrying more about our physical health and forgetting the mental health. But forgetting that, most importantly, everything in life begins with your understanding, the way how you feel. This is a living thing. I'm not talking about my skull, guys. I'm talking about our mental, the brain. Everything is triggered or everything is engineered by the brain. So once in a while, visit these people. Tell them your problems, they give you solutions, and trust me, stigmatization needs to stop at any cost because this has become a root evil in this field. People go and address their issues and then you start isolating them and stigmatizing them, calling them mad people, calling them people that are not worthy. Man, that needs to stop because mental health is very important. All right, see you guys, and we shall definitely have Daniel another time. This guy, every single year, every single year, he has an open invitation to come on Chilling because this guy is doing something great for our society. Bye. It has been yours truly, Drago. Mwelaba, and take care. God bless you. Stay healthy. I mean mentally.